Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you this morning?
I'm good, Eric. You?
Good. Would love to dive into the All-Star game, but we have a lot of stuff to get into. We only have about 40 minutes. So before we do that, I want to tell you about the Sportsbook Bar and Grill, easily my favorite sports bar in town. I started going to the Sportsbook in the DTC well over 10 years ago. Not a far drive from my house off of Arapahoe Road. But then when they opened the one in Highlands Ranch, right around the corner from my house, I'm like, dude, this is a short trip. The layout was designed by the owners who are big sports fans. So if you're a sports fan, that's probably how you would design your sports bar. Now, they want to have great food, outstanding, all different kinds of burgers. My favorite, and they have about like 12 of them. This fig jam with gorgonzola or blue cheese with a little bit of arugula on top. Unbelievable. Started off with a great appetizer, whether it's the Brussels sprouts, which are really good as well, or you can get the cheese curds, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. You know, right now there's no NFL, there's no NBA, really no NHL, but they have European soccer, rugby, UFC. They got everything going on there. You should go check it out. DTC, Highlands Ranch, coming soon to Parker. That is the Sportsbook Bar and Grill. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Sasquatch Casino, a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Tonight, Jahdae Barron signed his contract just before the start of rookie camp. That starts today. In the meantime, second-round pick RJ Harvey. And we talked about this a little bit earlier this week, what his situation is. But let's dig a little deeper, considering rookies are reporting today. RJ Harvey probably not going to be here, has not signed his deal. Only 2 second-rounders have been signed to contracts, both of them guaranteed. Multiple agents of second-round picks told this to the Denver Post. It is unstated, but this has been a coordinated effort to avoid being the guy who doesn't get a fully guaranteed deal. It's a picket line of sorts that no camp wants to cross. One specific agent told the Post, quote, "If everybody is strong enough, then we'll get the entire round guaranteed." The 2 guys who have signed guaranteed contracts, not surprisingly, the 33rd pick of the draft, the 34th pick of the draft. By the way, Harvey is 60. Got a long way to go to get to 60. If you take the agents at their word, Bruce, how concerned should the Broncos be about getting Harvey into camp anytime soon?
You know, I probably wouldn't worry as much about rookie camp as when the full team comes together next week.
Okay.
If I'm RJ Harvey, and I don't know RJ Harvey at all, other than just chatting with him informally in a press conference situation or off to the side. I mean, so I don't know what motivates him or his representation at this particular point. Although I can guess. I mean, that's why they play. They get paid, right? The love of the game, and they get paid. But I can't imagine that he doesn't want to be on the field. I think that he'd be foolish to feel that he doesn't have a good opportunity to be a guy in this offense. So I will be surprised if it goes much into next week. But stranger things have happened, and I don't know all of the dynamics of the moving parts.
Well, he has a loyalty to the Broncos for sure, but he also is now part of a fraternity, which is the NFL Players Union. And which side does he want to piss off? Right? That's what it's really all about now. Who his loyalty is going to be towards the Denver Broncos. I agree that he does want to play, but he doesn't want to be seen as that guy at 60 to cross the picket line. Now, I'd rather be at 60 crossing the picket line than being at 35 crossing the picket line, because then everybody behind you doesn't have the same argument. At least for Harvey, he is so far down the road in the second round, it's not going to make as much of a difference. Fair?
Yeah, I think that is fair. I mean, I don't know. Does even money tell you? I mean, which way do you go? I think he's going to be in camp at some point. And I think if he has I think that you get nervous when you're a young player and things are going on around you, and all of a sudden you don't have the fallback of Jahdae Barron, the number 1 pick who signed last night. He's all of a sudden he's not your wingman, or you're not his wingman in holding out. You're the only one holding out. And by the way, you're the only one holding out for this entire Broncos, as of right now, this entire Broncos roster. That would make me nervous. I can only speak from how I would feel. It would make me nervous when I'm trying to make a team, be a guy. I mean,
hey, listen, you know this as well as anyone covering sports for over 40 years. Players in that locker room understand exactly what Jahdae Barron is doing. Never, ever argue with a guy over his money.
That's correct.
That is a rule of thumb in sports. What you don't want either, okay, what you really don't want as a player, specifically a rookie, is to be painted with a scarlet letter that you broke the picket line. You are the one who screwed it for all of us. And I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
If let's say, for the sake of argument, he signs tomorrow, okay, he will forever be remembered by his peers when he talks to guys after the game, right? Because the guys all glad hand and pat each other on the back and go for a prayer, right? He will always be remembered as that guy who broke the picket line. That will forever be a stain on him with his listen. Hey, wait a minute. Let's look at the lockouts. Let's look at the strikes. Those players remember who crossed the picket line. You'll always be remembered as that guy as a rookie. So what do you do now? Go ahead.
Well, this isn't an organized labor strike. I mean, this is kind of they're trying something out and they'll see what ends up happening. I don't know. And by the way, no, you're absolutely right. This has nothing to do with pushback in the locker room. Guys understand the economics of the business and the amount of time that one has to reap the rewards of the economy, the economics of football. So that is not an issue. The issue, I think, is, do I want to be missing time when I'm a rookie? The issue is with RJ Harvey and his patience and his desire to get on the field and his willingness to allow time off the field to accrue. That's the issue. He won't get any pushback at all from anybody in the Denver Broncos locker room. They all get the economics of the game.
Right.
But I don't know, man.
Would you want to forever be known as that guy who screwed it up for the rest of us?
I think I could. I think I could probably live with it. Yes, I do.
You could.
I think I probably could. I mean, it's not going to be. I mean, yes, guaranteed money is a good thing. There is no question about it.
Right.
It's a good thing. But how long is this thing going to take? And how much is it going to affect me in getting on the field? Now, you would say the best guy's going to play, and we all get that. There's plenty of time to get to the exhibitions and stuff. But I don't know. I would be nervous about it. He may not be. He may be like, I'm all in. I get it. This is part of the business of the game. I got to trust my representation. I would respect that. That would be fine. This is different than the types of holdouts that we have talked about that are distasteful. When you have a contract that you've signed and you're holding out despite the contract, then I have more of an issue with it. In this situation, I don't have an issue with it. My only thing would be, how do I feel about the need to be on the field, learning, being a part of this team that I think I can play a significant role in? That's my deal.
I don't think NFL players are weak at all.
No.
But they do have the weakest union. And the reason why I believe they have the weakest union, and I'm probably stating the obvious here, is, it's the most physical of the four major sports. And generally speaking, these guys play the least amount of time in their respective sport. Football players have a shorter shelf life than baseball players, NBA players, hockey players. Yeah. That's why the owners always push around the players at the bargaining table. So with that, because these rookies know that I might only be playing for 3 years, their argument is, then I better get it all guaranteed now. But who knows how much longer my career is going to be? I better take the money when I can. Who do you think cracks first? The second-round players and their agents, or the owners?
Players.
Yeah.
Because traditionally the players are the ones that crack first.
Correct.
So that's where I'll go. When you're talking about 30 more guys, and I mean, you're asking if that's a lot to ask to put all on one page and to be all on the same page. So my bet would be, straight up with that question, I think the players are the first to crack.
You and I both agree, and I think a lot of people agree with this thought process. Greg Penner is a great owner, right?
Yep.
Self-made guy in the sense that, he wasn't born into the Walton family. He worked his way up into Walmart. Is it fair? Would you say Greg Penner probably really doesn't give a shit what any of the other owners think? He's his own guy.
Yeah, I would say very much that he's his own person. Very much so.
Good. Then give Harvey a guaranteed contract.
And he could very well do that.
You think he will? Do you think he will?
I just don't know enough about the mechanisms of business and his understanding of it and how he wants to operate.
It's a guaranteed contract. That's all it is. The problem is you're giving it to a running back of all positions. Now, granted, what's the money? $7+ million over 4 years. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. So for Greg Penner, certainly his number one priority is the team. Why not just say, if you're Greg Penner, it's $7 million? Shit. Look at what just happened with Russell Wilson and all the money that we just ate. $7 million is pocket change compared to what happened with Russell Wilson. Just get the guy in camp.
And maybe that's what they end up doing. I probably am thinking they don't. But maybe at the end of the day, that's what they will do. Who knows?
What would you do if you're Greg Penner? It's not a ton of money, but by football standards, it really isn't.
Well, I mean, I would make sure that down the line with my football people that we were making the right decision for the team and the business of playing football and building a roster. And I'm not sure where that falls. I would imagine that George Payton probably has a lot to say about that. But I can't make a definitive statement about what I would do because a lot of it's not about just paying a guy a guaranteed contract in the second round. It's about setting a precedent about guaranteed contracts and where does that go further? It's the first domino that falls. So that's a little above my pay scale, understanding all of the ramifications of how things work economically. But I think it will be an option to him. And certainly you are right. It is pocket change. But there's a salary cap, and I know that it's not going to create a large hit to the salary cap. We understand that, but there still is a salary cap, and there's a responsibility under that salary cap to do what the team deems best for the team.
The problem for Greg Penner is if he signs Harvey to a guaranteed deal, every NFL agent is going to say, gee, I hope the Broncos draft my guy in the first or second round. Because now he could hold it over his head. Hey, look, you did it for Harvey last year. Yeah. Why not do it for my guy this year?
Sure.
And so Haslam with the Browns has now put himself in that position. The Texans owner has now put himself in that position. They are now boxed in that an agent will say next year, year after, you've already done it. Why not do it now? To me, that is the danger for Greg Penner. In a vacuum, I would do it because how important Harvey is likely going to be for this team this year. But what are the repercussions down the road? If I'm him, that's what I am weighing. The future, not necessarily the present.
Although the present's pretty important, though, isn't it? Because it's the here and the now. He's a piece to the puzzle. This is a football team that's still ascending. I think they're viewed, and rightfully so, as a playoff team, but potential contender in the AFC West. That might be a little premature, but I think that they are a playoff team. And so there's part of this thing is the present of it. I mean, RJ Harvey was identified and maneuvered to pick for a reason. The Broncos and Sean Payton wanted his particular set of skills.
Okay, I'm going to throw a real hypothetical out there. Let's say this does drag on with the second round picks, and Harvey doesn't show up until week 4. Sake of argument. Remember, Bruce, that's why we call it a hypothetical.
Yeah.
You're smirking at me like, that's not going to happen, Eric.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that would be a very painful result for RJ Harvey.
It would be a very painful result for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah.
You move on. Because at that point, if you have a sense that this thing is going to drag on that far out, then I think you move on with your plans.
It's a hypothetical.
Well, that's my hypothetical.
Okay.
If you're hypothetically if you have a hypothetical understanding that you're not going to get a player until week 4 or week 5 or whatever the case may be, your team deserves better than that, and move on.
So by week 3, if Harvey's not in camp, you're going to release him. What do you mean you move on?
I don't think you move on. I don't think you release him, but you at that point, you've got to move on in terms of your plans with personnel. Now, maybe RJ Harvey by week, because he hasn't been practicing either, right? So you're a month into the season. He hasn't practiced a lick. And, when is a player like that going to be back to speed to operate?
The loser in this, if RJ Harvey, again, it's a hypothetical. If RJ Harvey doesn't show up until week 4, the biggest loser is not RJ Harvey. The biggest loser most likely will be the Broncos if Dobbins gets injured week 1.
Oh, now we're going to an injury. Well, yes. I mean, yeah, if you're going to throw, you're throwing a lot of hypotheticals out now. So, I mean, yes. If
hold on.
Well, if the room is damaged, if the room is compromised, of course the Broncos are going to be in a deficit position. But here's my other hypothetical: J.K. Dobbins isn't injured and is playing well. You know what?
What I'm about to say is
that's a totally different situation in week 4.
Every single person listening to this and watching this is going to say, Eric, believe me, you are alone on your own island when you say this. And that's okay. If I had to bet on it, RJ Harvey showing up week 4. Now, remember, this is a hypothetical. Showing up week 4 or J.K. Dobbins making it through a season fully healthy, my money is on there's less of a chance that Dobbins makes it through a season healthy. There is history there.
Yeah,
there is history there.
I would bet on 4 weeks, though. There's history there too. So, I mean, if the hypothetical here is a player missing all of training camp,
yep,
and the first 4 weeks of the season, that is a load for anyone. And you cannot approximate, if you're RJ Harvey and his representation, you cannot approximate the speed, the physicality, the hitting, the callousing of getting into a football season and all of a sudden showing up in week 4 and saying, here I am.
We're going down a rabbit hole here that I didn't mean to take us down. All I'm saying is this: RJ Harvey, first of all, well, that's a whole nother topic. It is unlikely, highly, highly, highly unlikely RJ Harvey will show up week 4. Almost nearly impossible. Okay. I would say there's about a 1% chance that RJ Harvey is not on the field because of his own doing, not signing a contract. There's about a 1% chance of that scenario happening, that hypothetical. Is that right?
I'll take it a step further. I think there's less than a 1% chance that he misses the first 4 weeks of training camp and the preseason.
I think there's even
he'll be in camp at some point.
I think it's less of a chance that J.K. Dobbins finishes the season healthy or doesn't miss games because there's history.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I am going with the history of it. The other stuff I don't know, but I know it is as unlikely as almost any scenario you can think of. I can't guarantee it, but the history suggests to me with J.K. Dobbins, he's going to miss time. He's going to miss time. That's proven. That is a proven fact. He doesn't finish seasons. He doesn't play a full season. That's fact. The other thing is a hypothetical, unlikely to happen, but there's a better chance of J.K. Dobbins missing games than R.J. Harvey starting week 4 because there's no history there.
Well, I know this. I know this.
We're really going down a rabbit hole.
If R.J. Harvey starts, I know we're going down a rabbit hole, but you're the one that put the hypothetical on the table. R.J. Harvey would miss at least 4, probably closer to 5 or 6 games. If that's the tact, he would miss at least 5 or 6 games. I would be willing to take your bet that J.K. Dobbins would miss fewer than 6 games. I'm throwing that out.
It's just one game. It's one game.
I mean,
he's never had a full season, to the best of my knowledge. That's pretty much guaranteed. Like the sun coming up, he's not going to play 17 games. The history doesn't suggest it because there is no history of it. But with Harvey, and again, we got to get off this topic because we're really going off the rails here because we're dealing with a hypothetical. My whole point in all of this was this: if the Broncos knew then in the draft what they know now, that they're having problems signing a second-round pick, just like almost all teams are having problems signing a second-round pick. And let's say this goes into weeks of training camp. Is that fair? More fair to you? Weeks of training camp. He shows up in 2 weeks. Is that more fair to you than game 4 of the season? Okay. Do you think the Broncos would have redone their draft knowing their most important position that they truly had to fill, okay, was now saddled with holding out? Would they have maybe taken a running back in the first round? If they knew then what they know now, is my point. At a position they really, really need production from a potential 3-down back, do you think maybe they would have, I don't know, taken Omari Hampton? Maybe they would have taken Henderson, knowing at least they're going to be in camp. Hindsight, I get it. That was my whole point to this.
Yeah. Maybe. Yes. I mean that's a possibility. They might have stacked the draft board a little bit differently with this. But I don't know how much of a concern it is for them at this particular point. My guess is probably not a big concern.
It's too late now.
But we'll see.
That's the bottom line. Coming up after the break,
yes.
More list radio. That's what we call in the business, more list radio. But it's a fun list to talk about. Bleacher Report ranked its top 100 players of all time. Where's Nikola Jokic on this list? By the way, I'll throw out a hint having nothing to do with Jokic, but I'll give you just a fact. Remember Alex English was all bent out of shape? He wasn't named to the All-75 team. He checked in at number 76 in Bleacher Report. I found that to be somewhat chuckling, somewhat funny to me. Like, it's like, you know what, Alex? You weren't happy about it. You weren't top 75. Okay, you can be on our list, but you're 76. Where is Jokic? That's next.
That's funny.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch in the DTC. Both locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook is a hangout bar or great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, the DTC, and coming soon to Parker. They are the sports bar.
Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk have another incredible promotion. They'll be giving away a new Sea-Doo, four-wheeler, or the cash award from the Big Wheel Spin, plus $7,500 in cash. The grand prize drawing is the weekend of August 16th, and get finalist entries every 45 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight during their daily cash drawing, with a locked-up jackpot of $100 or more. Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos. Loose slots, great promotions, great food, and a family-owned casino that treats you like family.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Spice up your next night out at Nola Jane and Lodo. Authentic Cajun cuisine like andouille sausage gumbo with dirty rice, crawfish etouffee, as well as 6 different po' boys like soft-shell crab and shrimp. Come in before or after a game at Ball Arena. Host a party or party on their rooftop deck overlooking Market Street during happy hour from 11 a.m. to 5. Plus, Nola Jane caters, delivers, and the kitchen is open late night. Make Nola Jane your new favorite spot to eat, drink, and party like it's Mardi Gras.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. Don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corn bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver. And welcome back. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Before we get this thing going again, I want to tell you about Ferguson Heating and Cooling. Cody and his crew do a fantastic job. They have 165 5-star Google reviews. It's hard to get, 5 people in a room to agree on toppings on a pizza. More or less, 165 people to say, you know what? This is a 5-star company. Here's one of the reviews from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, honest. Switched to Ferguson when I became aware that my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system that I didn't need. This is the way it works in that type of business. Guys who come out to your house, a lot of them are on commission. They want to sell you stuff that you don't need because they get paid on it. Had a long conversation with Cody about it. He said, listen, I'm not going to do that to somebody else. If it's a service call, it's a 10-minute fix. I'm going to wind up losing money, but I'm not going to screw the customer. That's the type of company that you want to work with. A family-owned company, Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Go to fergusonheatingandcooling.com. Time now for What's Trending.
What's Trending is presented by Ferguson's Heating and Cooling. Your family should trust the Ferguson family for all your heating and cooling needs, and you'll see why they have over 165 five-star Google reviews. Make an appointment today at fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Bleacher Report named its top 100 players of all time. Jokic checks in at number 17. Quick yes or no. Have you looked at the full list?
Yes.
Okay. At first glance, before you looked at that list, was Jokic where he should be, too high or too low? What was your first initial reaction?
I mean, I would think of him in terms of a top 15 player all time. If we're talking all time, probably a top 15 player, considering that he is still active. He and Kevin Durant, the only two on the list that are active players.
Well,
so,
Kevin Durant. Yeah. Okay. With that,
Kevin Durant's active.
I wanted to look at
still, anyway.
Say that again?
Yeah.
Okay. Here are the 6 guys who are listed ahead of Jokic. 11 through 16 in order, starting at number 11. Kobe, Olajuwon, Durant, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, and Kevin Garnett. Who should Jokic be higher than to get him to 15?
I have no problem with him being higher than Kevin Garnett. That's my own opinion. You can make an argument for Kevin Garnett. He was a tremendous defensive player. There's a lot of things that go into the equation of when you start considering the best of all time and trying to mix and match them, especially when they didn't play in the same eras and the types of games that they played. But I would have no problem with him being ahead of Garnett.
You mean
I'd have to
Durant.
think longer.
You mean Durant, or do you mean Garnett?
No, Kevin Garnett. Garnett. It remains to be seen still on Durant, right? I mean, to me, Kevin Durant's done. He's done some great. There's no denying that he's a very much like Jokic. He's kind of a unicorn with his size, his ability to shoot, his ability to get his shot, his ability to knock down his shot. It's just rare to see a guy play the position that he's played with the type of fluidity at 6'10", 6'11". It's pretty remarkable. So, I mean, I still give him his flowers without question, but Jokic is only 30 years old. He still has time to climb up this list. And there's no question that as a unicorn, as a one-off, as a center, right, that he can probably do that. But where he is right now, I mean, I wouldn't get in an argument if he was a couple of steps up or a couple of steps down. Yeah, okay. I mean, he's a top 20 player of all time. I would probably say, you asked me just for an immediate reaction, top 15 all time. I can see him in that group. But boy, I'll tell you what, Eric, when you start looking at that list, I mean, damn, man, right? When you start thinking about Oscar Robertson down at 13 and you look at the triple-double machine that Oscar Robertson was, the original triple-double guy, I mean, that's some pretty rarefied air even at that level. My gosh.
The one that is the most shocking to me is not Oscar Robertson. It's Kobe Bryant at 11.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant at 11. Now, you said Jokic should be higher. I'm getting my Kevins mixed up with you. So, Jokic should be higher than Kevin Garnett or Kevin Durant?
Garnett.
Okay. You're talking about...
I'm saying I wouldn't argue it. That's if I was listening it, he would be ahead of Garnett. I wouldn't put him ahead of Jerry West. I'd have to take a deeper dive into Jerry West.
So you would have him higher than a guy who made the all-defensive team 12 times. 12 times. And he was a phenomenal offensive player as well. Here's where people would argue against Jokic, and it's a fair argument. He is one of the greatest offensive weapons in the history of this game. Maybe top 5. I might put him top 5 offensive weapons, but that means we're totally discounting him defensively. And with all these guys that we mentioned who are ahead of him, whether it is Garnett, Kobe, Olajuwon, Jerry West, all of those guys weren't just good. They were great defensive players. Not good, great defensive players and great offensive players. So I guess my question is, for as great as Jokic is offensively, does it completely overshadow the other guys because he's nowhere near as good defensively?
Well, I think that
Is the gap so wide between Jokic and the other guys offensively that you'd put Jokic higher, even though those guys are Hall of Fame level defensive players alone?
I think 4 years from now, the question will be answered this way. Nikola Jokic will be ahead of guys like that. I mean,
just on offense alone, because that's what it is. Listen,
well, I mean, it's not alone. We talk about Nikola Jokic like he's a sieve defensively. He's not. I mean, he's not going to be on all defensive teams, but he's not a horrible defender. He's not a weakness for you on the floor. So I guess my short answer to that question is, yeah, I think that offensively he provides so much in such a different way than really any player in the history of the game that he will be rewarded for that, for as much rewarding as you can give, arguing about a list on a bar stool. So, I mean, whatever.
Is Jokic moving up the list for anybody that decides to put together a list? Is this now strictly based on NBA titles? He's not going to get much better defensively. And quite frankly, I don't see how he gets that much better offensively. He is who he is at this point of his career. One of the greatest basketball players of all time. But does he only move from 17 to, say, 10 with another title? Or is he pretty much cemented in?
I don't know. If you and I were making the list, how much would we judge winning championships? I mean, I will say one thing that's very impressive about Nikola Jokic is that he won a championship without, and this has been talked about a lot, any other all-stars, any other all-defensive players, fill in the blank.
Yep.
That is impressive, because if you define greatness as the ability to elevate those around you, and that's a pretty simplistic view of what greatness is, but it's one of the dimensions that I believe in. Do you elevate those around you? Then the answer for Nikola Jokic is certainly he has done that. Now, he's won one title. Will he win more? Remains to be seen. There is still work to be done. I'm not sure that Nikola Jokic ends up in the top 10 of all time, but I'll tell you what, another couple of titles would make the argument a lot louder.
It would. So now let's just look at the centers who are ahead of Nikola Jokic. In order, Kareem, Russell, Shaq, Chamberlain, and Olajuwon. Who should Jokic be ahead of?
None of them.
Wow.
I mean.
Wait.
I mean, so if you want to sell me on Shaq, okay. I would listen to that one, but
hold on a second. You just opened a Pandora's box because with your own opinion, and that's not a bad thing. It's your opinion. I just named five. I just named five centers. Jokic will never finish higher than 6 then. And we're only talking about his own position.
I mean, where he gets to remains to be seen. We just talked about a scenario where he wins another couple of titles. That can change things. But right now, I think that is clearly the historic pecking order. The only one in that group that I could argue with right now would be Shaq. The rest of them, I couldn't argue with. I mean, Wilt was in a very similar fashion to Jokic, a unicorn, just because of his athleticism. Russell was Russell was a defensive rebounding player first, but a very capable offensive player. But the number of championships that he's hung, I mean, that speaks for itself. You go right to Olajuwon, was one of the best two-way players maybe in the history of the game. Russell was not as good offensively as Hakeem Olajuwon, but they played in different eras. And
are you talking about Olajuwon is one of the greatest two-way players in the game at his position, or period?
At his position. We're talking about centers right now. I mean,
Wilt was better. Wilt was better. Kareem was better, for sure.
I don't know if Kareem was a better defender than Hakeem Olajuwon. Kareem was a better, but to me, Kareem is the best of all time, and I don't argue with that. I think the numbers speak for themselves. I don't care how they were
Kareem
accumulated.
Abdul-Jabbar made the all-defensive team 11 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So that's my point. So yes, he is the greatest two-way center to ever play the game.
Yes.
11-time All-NBA defense, and at one point he was the all-time leader in points.
Yeah.
Right?
Without question.
Chamberlain, unbelievable two-way player. Both of them better than Hakeem Olajuwon. Olajuwon checks in no earlier than third just for centers.
Gotcha.
Because those other two guys were better. Now, granted, it was a different game.
Yeah, it was a different game.
And all of those centers, by the way, won multiple titles. So Jokic isn't even there yet. If Jokic wins just one more, at the very least, he's
in the club then, right? Multiple championships. Yeah,
right.
He's in the club. However, the thing that makes him totally different is that he's never done it with elite help. Elite help.
Okay, now let's spin this quick because we got to run.
Okay.
Where would you rank Nikola Jokic as just simply one half of the floor? Offensive centers. Where would you put him on that list?
I think I would probably put him third, maybe.
I would put him 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Because the only guy who's maybe comparable to him is Wilt. Different era, though. It's not like Wilt didn't pass the ball. He did pass the ball, right?
Well, not like Jokic.
No, I agree with you. Not like Jokic.
Yeah.
But as far as points, rebounds, assists, give me a guy better than Wilt Chamberlain. Better, by the way, than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Yeah. I would say Jokic, to me, you got him 1, I've got him 3.
I'd say one or 2. The only guy to put ahead of him is Wilt.
Yeah. That's
it. Not Kareem. I don't care how many points he scored. He didn't pass the ball like Jokic passes it.
Didn't need to.
And then again, but you almost do have to wonder this. If Kareem played on a team with no all-stars, how much higher would his numbers be?
Yeah, I mean, points might be higher. Man, he played with Showtime was unbelievable. I mean, we start with Magic, but let's not forget Worthy and Perkins, and my God, he played with some dudes. But all you can do is play with who you're playing with, right? I mean, Jokic is in the same situation as every other player who's ever played. You play with the roster that you have, and you do the best that you can with it. I think the great thing about the conclusion of this discussion is Nikola Jokic is one of the best players to have ever played basketball on God's green earth. Right. That is a remarkable thing to be able to say, and we've seen it all from day one.
When I look at a list like this, I have a problem completely ignoring the accomplishments of the other players ahead of him defensively.
Yeah.
Because that's really what we're doing. It's not that Jokic isn't It's not like Jokic can't play defense.
No, he's a capable to a better than average defender.
Now the argument will be, well, look at the steals that he has. That's a defensive statistic.
Deflections as well.
You're right, it is. But he's not always playing with his back to the basket either. So because he's out on the perimeter, that's going to allow more steals, right? He's more active than, Olajuwon pretty much stayed near the baseline for his dream shake or was next to the basket. Shaquille O'Neal spent his time with his back to the basket, never really shot three-pointers, but he ran the floor so incredibly well. So each center is different. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I mean, I don't think he even thought of setting up beyond what would have been a three-point line back then. Well, you always like Michael Porter Jr. and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the floor. You always knew where to find them.
I will say this in closing: of the centers that we have talked about, the only one who has played in a spread the floor spot away from the basket defensively is Nikola Jokic. The only one. The rest of them were all rim protectors. I mean, all of them in their own way.
And great, some of the best of all time.
Yep.
Of rim protectors.
And don't ever underestimate the importance of rim protection in basketball, especially in the NBA. You defend the rim, with guys driving, you are a very valuable player.
But that's not Jokic at all.
No, Jokic plays away from the basket.
Right.
He just does.
So while he's a capable defender, he's really not giving you what you need at his position. He's giving you everything you need and more offensively, but he's giving you far less defensively because you need that rim protector. So how do you balance that out in terms of where you put somebody in a ranking?
But the thing is, back in the day, fives played on the block. They don't play on the block anymore. You have very few guys who play on the block. So defensively, you've still got to account for guys wherever they're lining up. That was never an issue in the day because centers played center. The traditional thought of, a center's going to play with his back to the basket and he's going to play down on the block. But it's just different. That's all. It's just different.
All right, that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Make it the best possible day you can.